Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
I will always feel something. I will always feel.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Lunchin with Lisa. I've missed you all because last week we actually did a replay of back to school. What does it look like in 2021? I thought it kind of fit because kids went to school before Labor Day and then some went after Labor Day. So it kind of still made sense. And I know that was a huge deal. So I wanted to first say welcome back to school, all of the kids. We don't have little ones in the house anymore, but I love seeing all the pictures, and I know the kids, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the show, because I think kids are probably more stressed than they're saying. So I wanted to talk about it and see how we were preparing for them. So we had the vice principals over at Suitland High School, and Dr. Tashika came on, another educator, and we just kind of talked about some things and had a little fun too. So tonight we're going to have some fun too, but this kind of dropped in my spirit to do this again. And Delana and Cherie have actually been on the show before talking about health and wellness, but that's a subject that we can always talk about. And especially now, because I've gotten a few phone calls lately with friends that have, still been getting COVID, getting sick, colds, whatever. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And, I think, well, Delana, back in the beginning, I was wearing out your personal line because I can be paranoid about this stuff. But I was like, okay, so let me get a grip on things before things go crazy again. Right. And my family try to put me away somewhere. So, Thank y'all for joining me tonight. I want to share a little bit about some things that are going on with me before we meet our guest and get started into the conversation. So I wanted to actually share with you all that I know some of you, well, I'm going to say that one last, but I'm actually being recognized with from the Women of Virtue Walking in Excellence virtual celebration. So I want to encourage everybody to register. I'm excited about it, honored as well. I take nothing for granted. So I really appreciate Dr. Tashika for honoring me, and I think it's in media and marketing. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I do it because I enjoy it for no other reason. So I'm excited about that. That's coming up October 21st through the 23rd. And then I actually I'm going to do on October 2nd, from 12 to noon, there's a power brunch for media and publishers called Grow As We Go. I'm sharing that platform with Michelle Bolden-Hammond, Antoinette Blake, and it's Linda Mallory. So I'm excited about doing that as well. So stay tuned for those. Sign up, come join us, just support. There's another thing that I'm doing, and we will show this in a few minutes, but I know some of you might not remember that I was in a movie recently called Old School Rollers. And we're going to show the trailer soon because we have another showing coming up on October 1st. And so I'm going to give you some information on that when that comes back up. But we'll have some fun with that because you can go and get another opportunity rather to see the movie. And it's a big deal. So I wanted to share that with you all. But right now, I want my guests to introduce themselves and tell us who they are, what they do. And then we're going to just throw some questions. I think we were getting Cherie before we went live. We got plenty questions about what we supposed to do. Tell us what we're supposed to do. No, but tell us, we're going to start with you, Dr. Cherie. Tell us who you are and what you do. And then we'll go to Delana and you share with us what you do.
Awesome. Yes, I am Dr. Cherie M. Good, better known as the Recharge Strategist. I've been a licensed practical nurse for the past 30 years. I'm telling my age. I'm also the founder, CEO of Total Harmony Enterprises and Make Me Over Wellness, which basically my teaching is all about self-care, loving on yourself, making sure that you take time to just spend time with yourself, love on yourself, really get to know you. I'm also a 9-time best-selling international author and wellness coach. So I'm excited to be here and hope that someone can take a glimpse of something that I offer today.
Absolutely. Delana.
Hey, how are you?
Tell us all about the Wellness Maven.
Yes, ma'am. So again, thank you for having me back, Lisa. You know, I always, even when you're on my private line, so I enjoy being on the Lunchin with Lisa show. So I'm Delana Watkins, also known as the Wellness Maven. I am a registered nurse by profession, and like Cherie, 30 plus years. I'm not going to tell my age, but yeah, we're still young. I know I look young. Yep, 30 plus years in the healthcare industry. I am the founder of the Women's Wellness Lounge, and we are actually celebrating 10 years in business this coming Saturday. Well, next Saturday, actually, the 18th. We're having a gala and fundraiser to celebrate that. So I am truly looking forward to that. 10 years in business is a big thing. Outside of that, I'm also a healthcare consultant and a healthcare advocate and wellness coach. So I look forward to sharing any additional information outside of my colleague, my bestie, Cherie, in the health and wellness industry.
Absolutely. So for everybody who's tuned in, please share this with your family, friends, because every time they come on, I learn something new, and it's always good to do a refresher because we forget. Well, I don't know if it's accidentally or intentionally. We forget about the things that we're supposed to be doing because we know better. So every now and then, this is my way of kind of slapping us on the wrist. And they're going to give it to us straight with no chaser. So this is perfect. So before we get started on getting into some questions, because I had plenty of questions. I was like, Lisa, you only have an hour. So I had to cut my little list down. But I want to go into a commercial break and show you the trailer of the movie that I was in, and it was released last month. But was it last month or this month? I can't. It was last month in August. But we also have another showing coming up October 1st. So we'll do that, and we'll be right back.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. In the place to be. Hit it. Let's go.
Oh man, who you calling old man?
You guys don't even know. You're talking to a legend here.
And y'all trying to get the crew back together after all this time to battle some disrespectful youngins? Man, who cares about that?
Eric, why don't you mind your own business? This ain't got nothing to do with you.
Stop what you're doing, cause you're about to ruin the image and the style that I'm used to.
Man, you a loser. Call me?
Wait a minute.
When I first talked to him about his dreams and the skating, I was not referring to him battling a bunch of kids.
Oh yeah, it's on now.
Put your left hand up, put your left leg up. Put your right hand up, put your right leg up. Put your left hand up, put your left leg up. Put your right hand up, put your right leg up. And just slide on your left, say what? Just slide on your right. Come on now. Slide on your left, say what? Just slide on your right.
Old School Rollers coming Saturday, August 28th at 12 noon and 3 p.m. at Washington, D.C.'s The Ark. Tickets now on sale at eventbrite.com.
Cause I got the swagger, the big dog mellow, and I stay on my game. Nothing but fame, nothing lame.
So welcome back. That was August 28th. They had the release. I couldn't make it to the red carpet event because we were out of town, but I was able to get a chance to see it. It was kind of cool seeing your names and credits and seeing you on screen. So it was kind of cool because I had never seen it before. But they're showing it again on October 1st at 7 to 10 p.m. at the City of Praise Family Ministries, and that's on Jericho City Drive. So I'll share that information again at the end of the show, but I'm really excited about it because if anybody knows me, they know that we are a skating family. And I met my husband in a skating rink 32 years ago, and we are still skating to this day.
Oh, that was going to be my next question. Are you still skating? One of my best friends,
Yes.
She met her husband skating, and it's 26 years, I think, for them, and they are still skating.
Still, I probably know them if they
Yeah.
skated at Crystal or whatever. We met at Crystal Skate, and we still, it's the best exercise ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get tired. But if you wear a Fitbit, You can put some work in your Fitbit. People are like, wait a minute, Lisa never gets all these points, but if I go skating, oh yeah, I'm in front. So yes, we love skating. So to be able to be in a movie that's about skating, which is our life, it was kind of cool. So, and at the skating rink that we've grown up in and still go to. So we'll show you that again later on, but we want to get into some topics regarding health and wellness. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask you both is, why is it important for us to continue to focus on our health and wellness? And when I say health and wellness, I know between the two of you, it's not just, running or walking. It's like a combination from head to toe, mentally, physically, all of that, and in life and business. And you all cover the whole gamut. So why is it important? Because some people don't get it. They're like, okay, every now and then, but why is it so important? Delana?
Well, I think definitely, and I know Cherie will expound upon this, but I think if the pandemic that we just experienced in these past 18 months has taught us nothing, it is certainly that being healthy has its advantages. So I think that we must always focus on improving. Even myself, being in the health and wellness industry, I am always looking for ways and different things that I can embrace to always keep me in a healthier, more optimal state of health. And so it's important because you don't want for us to, again, face, whether it's the pandemic or COVID-19 or a flu or anything like that, for you to be susceptible to and have your body be the most miserable host that those type of sicknesses and illnesses, can kind of grow and thrive in. And so I think just always keeping health and wellness top of mind and being very astute as to what you can do to constantly keep yourself in the optimal state of wellness serves you best. And again, it's outside of, walking and running and going to the gym and things of that nature. That's part of it. But I believe that when you embrace health and wellness for yourself, and that means as an individual, your individualized plan, that helps you to be able to be on the forefront and to be able to combat various things that you may be exposed to.
Absolutely. Dr. Cherie?
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with what Delana said. And just look at the numbers over the past year. I know personally, I have like 11 losses that were personal and close to me in a year. Those numbers are astronomical, and that's something we really hadn't heard of at such a large, alarming rate before. So now we have to do extra things to make sure we're well. Not like you said, it's a 3-part puzzle: mind, body, and spirit. Everything starts in the mind. So if the mind is not right, the body's not going to be right. So making sure that we're watching our mental health as well as our physical health, watching what we put in, because what we put in is what we're going to get out. So just really, really focusing on how we're loving on this fine-tuned machine, because that's what we are. We're all fine-tuned machines. But if we never take moments to cool down or just take breaks, just allow our bodies to repair itself, then we're not going to get the best out of this machine.
Absolutely, because that was actually one of my next topics, was kind of like, and you all kind of brought that together, like why physical and mental health kind of go hand in hand. A lot of times when people think about health, they immediately go to the physical. And don't realize that, because if your head's not in it, whether it's work or whatever, then it's probably not going to happen. And I know with me, I did change a lot of things from even my calls with Delana or just learning about what's going on out there. I wasn't doing things to help me because I think I was in denial. And I think a lot of people, I'm getting older, I'm over 50, but I was still acting as if, I don't have to take all of that. I'm 20. Like, even if it was a vitamin, it's like, I don't need that. So you kind of convince yourself that you don't need these things to help replenish whatever you're losing. So I had to learn that through this process, and then realize that I should have been doing this anyway.
Right.
So COVID shouldn't have been when I started, but I'm confessing. But it's a good thing because I started taking vitamins and probably wore my doctors out. But what I did was I went and checked myself out and found out what my levels were in every situation. And what I also realized too is that they're changing. So I think I've never had my mercury level checked ever when I went to the doctor. But now, because of what's going on, they're checking all kinds of things, and I'm more in tune. I also learned, I will tell you this, when you said mental and connecting it with the health, I learned that mentally, because I'm so aware and conscious of what's going on, I'm more in tune to changes in my body, which can be a crazy thing as well. So, because you're catching everything. So sometimes the doctor's looking at me like, that's normal. You're you're okay.
That's okay.
Right. So, I mean, you know, it's kind of like when you can hear your heartbeat, you're like, oh my goodness, it's racing. And I'm confessing, because I've had to learn my body, but I'm more in tune to it. So I put my Fitbit on and started to, you know, kind of monitor what my regular heartbeat is, so that now I'm like, okay, I'm thinking and my mind is racing, but it's really not.
Yeah.
So those kind of things help with the mental. Do y'all have any like suggestions and advice on how to get people to understand that these two things kind of go hand in hand? You can't do one without the other.
Right. Well, first of all, don't ignore what your body's telling you. So a lot of times we'll try to psych ourselves out. Like you said, I don't need that vitamin. I don't need that medication. Listen to your body. So our bodies talk to us, whether it's by us feeling anxious, by us feeling exhausted or tired. Don't ignore those signs. It could be a sign that you're getting ready to get sick. It could be a sign that you just need to shut it down for a little bit. But don't fight the feeling. You know, that song, don't fight the feeling. Don't fight it. Feed into it. Listen to your body. If it's telling you to rest. If it's saying, you know, cut back, step away from the table, then do just those things. And if it's something that you don't know what's going on, it doesn't mean anything. Just go to the doctor and get it checked out. The worst case scenario is that you went for nothing.
Yeah, they'll just laugh at you and say, you're fine.
You're fine, right?
Yes, it's happened to me. No.
I was going to say, go ahead and confess, Lisa, because I know you've done that. She called me. Yeah, pretty much. And you know, the one thing, and you started out, Lisa, asking this question when you were talking about the mental and the physical, how, you know, truly that they're connected. You know, when I work with women, or even when I'm speaking and talking about health and wellness, I always say to them that the majority of the work is not found in the gym, and it certainly isn't found in the kitchen. So the changes are, but the majority of the work that you will do with what you eat and how you physically move is going to be done here. And so we spend a majority of the time making sure that you're in the right place to receive all that's going to be given to you as it relates to what needs to be changed. And so a lot of the work is done with really trying to peel back old behaviors, old habits, sitting with where you are right now, finding out, you know, what's going on. That's where the real work is done before you actually embrace any of those things that you discover in that process. So the mental piece of it and all of that work is really, it's where the shift happens.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I wanted to, that actually leads into the next thing I was going to talk about, because I was going to get into specifics. I know with Delana, you have the sugarless program, which Dr. Cherie and Cherie were backstage were actually talking about this, because I learned something. And I was talking to her about headaches and trying to understand where it's coming from. And she actually mentioned something, because I haven't had, and we talked about bananas, and that kind of leads into the sugar too. But I haven't had bananas in years, because I had started to feel sick years ago when I had bananas with oatmeal. And so me and my mind said, okay, well, just don't do that no more. So I didn't have bananas no more, but my grandson absolutely loves bananas. So this weekend we had them, and I actually had a couple of bananas, eating them with him over the weekend. And then I talked myself into confessing even more and said, oh, that's right, I went and got some banana pudding, because I was like, I love bananas. I had this headache all weekend, and she was like, well, yeah, that could be it, because sugar might be I'm starting to think sugar is my thing. So talk to us a little bit about what sugar and some other things do to your body that you just need to start learning so you can adjust.
Right. Absolutely. Well, you hit the nail on the head. Number one, I applaud you for trying to figure out and understanding, right? Because you're so in tune, you realize that you introduced or reintroduced a different food, and you saw that it led to have you having a different physical effect from it. And so there are certain foods and certain things that we consume that obviously can have a physical shift and physical changes that we may experience, which is why, like Cherie said before, you have to be in tune, right? Really lean into what's going in your body. And let me just tell you that 9 times out of 10, the majority of what you are experiencing can directly relate back to your diet, which ultimately, scratching the surface even further, is going to be the consumption of sugar. And so I always encourage people to start there, which is really look at what you're consuming. It's going to be that whole crap diet that I talk about. It's going to be the amount of chemicals that you consume, the amount of refined foods that you eat, the amount of artificial foods that you consume and process. So it's chemical, refined, artificial, and processed. Those are the culprits that if you were to really dig deep and watch what you're eating and consuming, what you're feeling, the breakdown in your body at that cellular level can directly be related to one of those 4 substances.
Wow. Yeah, I think, you know, a long time ago with the, and I know this, I'm making all kind of confessions, but I used to love, because I'm a tea drinker. And the McDonald's sweet tea got me in so much but I mean, I used to be able to drink it. And then one day it started to be a problem. And then I kept saying, well, what is it? What is it? But I was not even thinking about the sugar. Mountain Dews too were a problem for me. And I used to drink those. I used to drink them a lot. Okay. But now I can't.
They that's caffeine and sugar. That's not just sugar. That's caffeine, sodium,
everything. And it really started to make me sick. And so I started to recognize what my body was doing, because I would not feel well after even a couple of sips. So I don't do that anymore. But you know, those moments, and you all can speak to this, those moments when you haven't had something in years, and you just kind of convince yourself that one time is just not going to hurt.
You know what, Lisa? I'm going to change the name of your show to Confessions with Lisa, not Lunching with Lisa, because you was really confessing it tonight, girl. Okay.
I am, as I'm talking, I think it's something about you all, because I'm like, why am I just telling everything? They haven't even asked, and I'm like telling. But yes, I think it was the sugar, because it was literally making my stomach hurt. It was making everything hurt. And I'm no doctor or anything, but I kept saying something is not right, confession to Lisa. I know, but I'm learning, and I've heard when you all have come on before, I take in, what you're in. So I take it back, and I'm like, okay, so they said this. Okay, so stay off of it. And I noticed that when I take that dip, after a year or so not doing it, and then I have one, and not even all of it, just drink it a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I had that sweet tea, and I shouldn't have. Even with drinking, I tell you what I found out, and why I think it's sugar. Even with drinking chamomile tea at night, which was relaxing. But what I was doing was I was putting a scoop of sugar in it, and I kept saying, this is supposed to make me feel, this is not working for me. So I think people just need to pay attention. I think we just out of habit do things that we don't even realize that we're putting sugar in it, or like Dr. Cherie said earlier, that sugar is even in it. Or even like I did find out with having to get surgery when they found a lump in my breast years ago, that they took me off of Kool-Aid. And I kept saying, what is the deal with Kool-Aid? So they said that Kool-Aid had caffeine in it or something. Or something they said was in Kool-Aid. So when they took me off of certain things until they tested me, I was like, well, why can't I have Kool-Aid? But it's something in everything.
Yeah.
So how do you all kind of figure that out? I know Dr. Cherie suggested to just kind of pay attention to the sugar intake in anything you're eating. And I mean that to me, that feeds to the lifestyle change
Absolutely.
as opposed to just a diet change, because you really have to just learn to do that all the time.
Right.
And again, it goes back to listening to your body. So your gut is like the core of your health. Everything is in the gut. And so even with your female health, women, if you're getting a lot of yeast infections, you're getting a lot of vaginal infections, look at how much sugar you're consuming. And also now it's been noted, research, they've been showing that the brain gut axis could be responsible for a lot of mental illnesses that are going on now. There could be certain chemicals that are missing out of the gut that is causing more and more people to have mental illness nowadays. So listen to your body. If you eat something and your body says no, then don't do it. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself. That's how I started on my journey to not eating meat. I would get sick every time I eat a piece of beef, and I'm like, "Why are you torturing yourself for a filet mignon?" it wasn't
for just a moment, right?
Just for the moment. It was a moment on the lips, but it was hell on my gut. Like, it was terrible.
Right.
So I stopped. So just listen to your body. Your body's going to give you those warning signs. It's going to tell you directly, "Don't do this." It's just up to us to make those conscientious decisions to do what's best for our health.
Absolutely.
So do you all have any suggestions? I will say, and we started to talk about this before, because I think Shariva was talking and said, well, what in the world do you eat? Because everything has, sugar in it. So I thought it'd be helpful to discuss, like, what can we do? Because everybody's like, well, then I'm never going to eat. What am I going to eat?
Shariva just put a question down there. I just saw, what are some alternatives to sugar?
Yes.
And so stevia in the raw is a excellent alternative for people who like the sweetness, but don't want that processed sugar that we're accustomed to. That'll back in the day when you were growing up, that cup of sugar that used to be sitting on your grandma's table, that white sugar. So stevia in the raw, which kind of looks like little brown crystals. That's a good thing. Monk fruit, organic raw honey, not the little teddy bear honey that you find in Dollar Tree.
Oh, not any of that. To throw that out.
Toss that on out. Get rid of it. That is not real honey.
And I was doing something. I thought I was doing something.
Oh, I know. Yep. Not the little teddy bear. No, get rid of that. Get the real, honey, organic raw honey. Monk fruit. Agave is good in some instances, but it's one of those things where it's, less is better. So, I always talk to my clients and say good, better, best. And so, again, when you're talking about sweetness, you want to kind of see what's good for you, like test it out and see, because it's one thing to try to remove something, but I always say find a healthier swap. And so you got to determine which one of those healthier swaps are good for you so that you will continue to use it and not say, ooh, I can't stand that, or it's got a bitter aftertaste, or, I can't tolerate that. So just try a variety of different things that you can, sweeten various things with. Another thing that I encourage people to do is look for natural sweetness, right? So a lot of times when you're trying to make that transition, after we eat a meal, my husband is guilty of this. He'll want to go and get a cookie after just eating a healthy meal. And I'm like, why? And it's because he feels like he has to have something sweet at the end. So I start, having him eat fresh fruit. Okay. And then suddenly it cuts that need to want to have something sweet. So just kind of play around with those things and make healthy swaps. I showed this picture of a bowl of candy and then a bowl of fruit, right? And so they both are pretty. They're both colorful. One's poisonous and one's good for you. So it's kind of like that, just being able to, it starts in the mind. Like, do I need to have this sweet bowl of Skittles and M&Ms, or can I just eat these grapes, watermelons, pineapple, things like that?
Wonderful. Because, I'm going to try it all and see what works for me. Because I think I love sweet. And when I realized the sugar was a problem, and I was like, how am I going to drink this chamomile tea? Because chamomile tea doesn't actually taste as good without. But actually what I did was, because I didn't touch the sugar at all, I started drinking it without it. And it actually works. I mean, it still works. Yeah. It's relaxing. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't need
the sugar.
And the other thing is that I learned, and you all can kind of help me with this. What I learned when I did have a moment where I lost like 50 pounds was the more I did something or didn't do something, the more my body adjusted to not having it. And then it wasn't a big deal. But you got to get to that point where it's like not a big deal. Just like drinking water. I hated water, but the more you drink water, the more you don't mind drinking water.
Exactly. Yep. That goes back to what Cherie said. That mind. Yep. See.
Yep. So, and Dr. Cherie, I know you might have to leave in a minute, but I wanted to ask you with the mental part, and we talked about relaxing and that kind of thing. So how does that play a role in all of this? Because, you know, if you're stressed and your anxiety levels are up, then it doesn't matter if you're not eating any sugar. You still are just, you know, feel like you're bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're stressed, that cortisol is dumping directly into your belly. And so I know on previous shows, we talked about it before. Ladies, you want your waist size to be 35 or less. Men, if it's over 35, ladies, then you're predisposing yourself to heart attack and strokes. Same for men. If it's greater than 40, you're directly predisposing yourself to heart attack and strokes. So managing your stress is super, super important so that you can decrease that cortisol that's getting dumped into your belly. So you also just decrease a lot of other illnesses that you predispose yourself, like the skin disease and skin disorders. When you're stressed, your body is just all out of whack. It throws everything off. And so it's important that we manage our stress, manage your anxiety, just by taking moments of stillness, maybe listening to some Zen music, or find that place in your home that puts you at peace. Listen to music, or even some people, they get stress relief by just exercising. So whatever it is, that thing that makes you feel better about yourself, that makes you feel relaxed, those are the things you want to do.
Well, and I know you have to step away. So did you want to share with everybody where they can find you? Because she's still working while she's doing this. So she is the bomb, okay? TheBomb.com. But let them know where they can find you, and they can actually be back there, you know, getting something done while you
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I have 2 clients that are waiting for me to take them off the table. So I'm running Total Harmony Enterprises and Make Me Over Wellness, totalharmonyenterprises.com or makemeoverwellness.com. And I'm on all your social media sites as Cherie M. Good.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm gonna call you back again because all of them ain't listening. So we have you back for sure.
Absolutely. See you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.
And Delana, so I wanted to ask you about well, she brought up exercise, and I know at one point because I'm just motivated when I see you out there. I know there was the hula hoop, and you had me buy a hula hoop. I did it, but it was weighted, so I was like, "Ooh, this is a little different than the hula hoop."
Right.
It was different. So it's still downstairs. It's still there. But help me out a little bit with everybody on how what kind of things will help us to kind of get to a place, because I noticed that as we get older, we're always kind of in search of that feeling that we used to have when we woke up and we felt refreshed and we can't seem to, you get to a certain age and I'm like, I can't seem to find that feeling. When I wake up, I'm just like, or whatever. It takes a minute. How do we get back there, or can we?
Let me just say, sleep is not overrated. That's number one.
Okay.
So I think that we would, especially 50 and over, it is very important. My sleep is like the next thing to breathing now for me.
Okay.
When we were younger, we could run off of 3-4 hours. I'm up, I'm refreshed, I'm good. What you got? I'm good. Now, for me, even somebody who works out 5 to 6 days a week, I need my sleep. And by sleep, I don't mean just be in the bed for 7-8 hours or even 6 hours. I'm talking about restful sleep, where we get into what's called REM sleep, rapid eye movement, that dreamy state, because you could be in the bed for 8 hours and still wake up tired. You want to know why? It's because you didn't get good quality sleep. We have too much that is taking up our minds. We're not doing what I call a wind down window, turning off the TV, making your bedroom, not taking TikTok and Facebook to bed with you, turning off the TV, really getting into a place where you're not thinking about what it is that you maybe didn't complete during the course of the day, or what is facing you the next day. We're just really always going. And so we have to create that atmosphere and that environment that our bodies need to rest at a cellular level. We have got to go to sleep we've got to rest and then wake up refreshed. And that's what we're not doing, Lisa. That's number one, is that we're just not doing that. And so when we do that, we feel like, girl, I'm not going to the gym. Girl, I'm not doing that. I'm tired. I'm too tired for that. When really going to the gym puts you in a state of having increased energy, releasing, those endorphins and allowing your body to, again, refresh, recycle, release. So that's what we've got to make sure, is that we are, again, eating good, nutritious food that we spent the last couple of minutes talking about. That's
Right.
number one, feeding your body good, solid, nutritious food, and then making sure that we're getting good, proper rest, good quality sleep.
Yeah, well, you know what? When you were saying that, what I thought about was kids. So that just kind of makes sense. So when kids are running around and they're playing, they sleep so well because they were burning all of that energy and doing all of that. But we get older and then we don't do that, which is why we don't get the sleep.
Right.
That makes sense. Perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I told you I'm learning something new every
we
day.
overcomplicate it. We think that it's, something different or something extra we're supposed to be doing, when really it's not. If we stick to the basics and remember what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing, then we will embrace it and continue to do it. Right.
Yes.
Even if your exercise consisted of, when we get done the Lunchin with Lisa show tonight, and I turn on a couple of my favorite songs and just dance around while I'm still in my office or whatever the case may be, I'm raising my heart rate. I'm still exercising, but not in the traditional sense of exercising. We need to not overcomplicate things. It's really just about, moving your body, finding something that you enjoy, even the hula hoop thing while we were, kind of on during COVID, when we were on our pandemic punishment. I started, doing hula hooping and jump roping and things that I had kind of cast off because I was doing the traditional gym thing. So just find something that you enjoy doing. I don't care if you pick up that laundry basket 4 or 5 times.
Well, that's true. And walk up and down the steps.
Walk up and down the steps with it. Yeah. I mean, just find and use what you have, right? If you're still working virtually from home, going up and down the stairs, finding different chair exercises you can do, whatever, taking a walk on your lunch break or whatever the case may do. Don't limit yourself and don't say, oh, I don't have time, or, oh, I can't. Work with what you have. You absolutely can.
This is actually hidden, because what I did start paying attention to was my sleep patterns with my Fitbit. Because actually when I was wearing my Fitbit, I took it off at night. And then I was like, okay, so how is it supposed to track my sleep? But I started to pay attention, and you're absolutely right. There were days, because I know Shariva says she gets like 8-9 hours of sleep nightly. And it's very important. And I actually rarely got sleep because, and I think this is what a lot of people do. At the time, I mean, my husband's retired now, but at the time he wouldn't even get home till 10 o'clock at night. So I was actually working, getting off at 6, but then keeping myself up so that I would be up when he gets home. And then you add another 2 hours to that. And he probably still needed the same sleep, but he could operate better off of less sleep for some reason. And now I'm starting to see that even if you got 8 or 9 hours in, if it's not that REM sleep, you're still going to feel like kind of worn out and like you got 2 hours of sleep. So that totally makes sense. Which is why I started kind of maybe taking having some chamomile tea and just kind of relaxing, having that moment to just do nothing. And I think a lot of times we're rushing. By the time it's time to go to bed, we're actually rushing to go to bed.
You're rushing. You're going to bed based on the clock and not on your body. You're thinking, oh, it's 10 o'clock, or 11 o'clock. I need to get in the bed. But again, gradually you have to get yourself and get your body ready for rest. Get your body ready for sleep. Regardless
This is so, y'all better be taking some notes. I'm telling you, you can tell I am in class and learning. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back because this has been good. We're going to kind of pull this conversation into the current topic because what we do is have segments on Lunchin with Lisa now. So we're going to shift into this area of current events, topic of discussion, but it's still going to have something to do with what we're talking about now. So we'll be right back after this commercial break. So welcome back. We actually have a segment that we have this called like a current topic discussion, and I'm gonna remind you all that we actually have a lunchbox with the Lunchin with Lisa show. And what we encourage everybody to do is send we put our email up and let you send topic ideas, suggestions. It could be health and wellness, it could be relationships, it could be anything, and we just want to drop it in here, and then every show we actually going to dig in here and talk about something, kind of put the guests on the spot. So, and you all need to get these topics in because there's plenty of crazy things going on in the world. So this is kind of our who's lunching out there kind of thing. So to talk about this is kind of related to health and wealth. I had a topic that I thought maybe we could talk about. And it was because it's Lunching with Lisa, we want to talk about where people are tripping, people are lunching. So I thought about asking the question, are people tripping about making the vaccine mandatory on certain jobs? And let's talk about it. So I will share first, and Delana, tell me if you're comfortable. We do another question. But I thought, my personal opinion was that I think it is necessary in certain jobs, just because this whole situation is based on somebody else. We're making decisions based on the whole as opposed to self. And so in certain jobs and situations, you just kind of have to. It's kind of like, my feeling is if you're living in a house with an elderly person and they have to get the vaccine to keep them safe, then even though I might not believe in the vaccination, I have a decision to make. If I stay in the house, I get the vaccination. If I don't want to get the vaccination, I pack my bags and move.
There you go.
And it might seem a lot for people, but I mean, that's kind of where I stand with it. It just kind of makes sense. So what do you think about this mandatory in certain jobs and things?
Absolutely what you said. I do think that in a certain, especially if you are in a what I would call a public service type of role, certainly in the healthcare industry, obviously, that is to me a no-brainer. I think where we kind of have to walk that fine line is when we talking about making something mandatory. And that for me has always been a point of contention. And that is because I feel like with self, even before COVID, the flu vaccine was something that was made mandatory when I used to work in a healthcare facility. It was something, and I would always, be the first one to say that I am not getting the flu shot, and do not ask me to subject myself to that if that's not something that I choose to do. And so it was kind of like this push-pull type of thing. And I think that there are a lot of, people in the healthcare industry now that certainly feel that way. However, with the COVID, it's a little different in that if you're working in that particular field, if you're working alongside these individuals, if you are in a position where you not being vaccinated puts someone else at risk, that's different. Then I think the conversation has to shift towards what you just described. And so you have a choice. Do I stay here employed if my belief is that I don't, want to take the vaccine? That's a choice that you have to make. And so that's something that I've always held steadfast to, again, being a nurse over 33 years. And I've always said that, for me, it's always going to be about choice, and I can choose not to work in that particular,
Right. I mean, and it's a hard decision,
It is.
and I realize that people are, it can be a life-changing decision.
Absolutely.
But the only thing, and I do agree with you, I think with this COVID, it was just a little different because it's like what you do affects me.
Right.
And because people would say the flu shot, and I was like, sometimes I took it, sometimes I didn't.
Right.
But with the COVID, I'm like, I don't see how not is going to be, not only not helpful to you at some point, but to others.
Absolutely.
And I think that was more sensitive to me, especially now, because there have been some close connections where that's happened to someone who didn't believe in it, didn't want it, or just it wasn't time for them, because fear can make you, can lock you in too. I'm amazed at how I let go of some of my fear with it, but I think what I did was balance, what are my options?
Right.
And a lot of people aren't having that decision. They're just kind of digging in on what I'm not going to do.
Exactly. And they're not having those logical conversations like what you just said. What am I doing? What am I not? And so I think that has to be had. That has to be something that they think about and really revisit when we think about it. And yes, I think the way in which, COVID came about, I think the information that was being provided, I think the lack of understanding as well, the miscommunication really in the very beginning made a lot of people hesitant. And so the moment you have that hesitancy, then fear sets in. Now you're combating two different things. And so I think that's kind of what happened.
That's true. I'm hoping that we, really get to a place where we can, I think there'll be some new norms. I will throw in this last part of this with people tripping. I think I threw it in at one of the later the earlier shows, but it still kind of applies. I still don't know from the beginning of the mask wearing why people are wearing their masks underneath their noses. It's like, it's almost like that they think they're fooling other people that, see, I have it on, but they're also satisfying that urge that I don't want to wear this. So they kind of halfway do it, which annoys me to no end. It's like, put it on. And actually, I mean, it's nobody wants to wear a mask, but it's actually, I mean, it has to me. And I'm, you could probably tell me better than you would know better than me. It does seem like that there weren't as many colds and things like that because we were, not talking on each other, not doing it.
So we were more aware. We were washing our hands, covering our mouths, and just not being in close proximity during that time as well, which cuts down on the common cold and or the flu. So again, as we said before, unfortunately, the pandemic did allow us to change some of our habits and behaviors, right?
Yes.
And so, obviously, the touch point surfaces that, we talked about before, doorknobs, elevator buttons, and, things like that. We were more conscientious of how we touched those things. And then even if we did, we weren't all over, so, again, covering our coughs properly. And just, even if we did, we're wearing our masks. So yes, the common colds, I believe, decreased. And even if they weren't, so many people were taking, vitamin C, magnesia, elderberry, that we were loaded up on any and everything that we could get a hold to. So the common cold didn't stand a chance this past winter.
That is so true, because I am a vitamin connoisseur. But I also was concerned because I've had pneumonia like 4 times in my life. So I was like, if COVID was, I knew I didn't like that, I don't like pneumonia. So I was like, so I know that I do not want any dances with COVID, because pneumonia was scary enough. So you don't have to tell me twice most of the time. I'm going to do what I got to do. So this has been great conversation. This is a moment where I take to just to kind of do a highlight. This segment is kind of like highlighting a business or something going on. And I encourage our viewers as well to send in a t-shirt. If they got a t-shirt, Send me the t-shirt so I can wear it on the show. Send me the lip gloss and I'll wear it and shout you out. So I just want to encourage everybody to do that. What I'm going to highlight this time around is, of course, that the movie is being shown again on October 1st. And I also wanted to do a little shout out. I don't know if you all remember this, but I have a mug that actually says, "Shh, I'm thinking before I speak." And you can inbox me and get this mug, but that's of course connected to the power shut up. That is kind of like my jam. And so I'm always encouraging people to, we got to shut up sometimes and listen to the science, or shut up and listen to what people are teaching us about our health and wellness. We can't learn unless we shut up and listen. So I'm always on that rant of let's pay attention. Delana, this has been wonderful information. I wanted to, we're going to run the trailer one more time. If you all have an opportunity to go over to the City of Praise Family Ministries and check it out. This is a free showing of the movie. So please go check it out. You will love it. It's like a family kind of film. You'll recognize a lot of places in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. It just kind of brings you home. You're like, oh, I know where that is. Oh, I was over there yesterday. So it's a feel-good kind of movie. I'm excited about it. This is actually my second film I've been in. And I had a couple of little scenes in it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's me. So I had a ball, and it was about different generations coming together. It's a message in the movie. It's really something that you all want to check out. So please go and support and check it out. What we're going to do is run the video one more time, and then we're going to come back because Delana, I want you to kind of share anything that you have going on coming up, and then some words of encouragement and advice in the regards to our health and wellness. And we definitely going to have you back because this is just a necessary conversation. I know I need to reboot every now and then. I'm motivated all over again.
Great. That's what I like Lunchin with Lisa. So
that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go to a break, and then we're going to come back so that y'all can make sure you connect with Delana.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. In the place to be. Hit it.
Oh man, who you calling old man?
You guys don't even know. You're talking to a legend here.
And y'all trying to get the crew back together after all this time to battle some disrespectful youngins? And who cares about that?
Eric, why don't you mind your own business? This ain't got nothing to do with you.
Stop what you're doing, cause you're about to ruin the image and the style that I'm used to.
Man, you a loser. Call me?
Wait a minute. When I first talked to him about his dreams and the skating, I was not referring to him battling a bunch of kids.
Oh yeah, it's on now.
Put your left hand up, put your left leg up. Put your right hand up, put your right leg up. Put your left hand up, put your left leg up. Put your right hand up, put your right leg up. And just slide left, say what? Just slide right. Come on now. Slide left, say what? Just slide right.
Old School Rollers coming Saturday, August 28th at 12 noon and 3 p.m. at Washington, D.C.'s The Ark. Tickets now on sale at eventbrite.com.
Cause I got the swagger, the big dog mellow, and I stay on my game. Nothing suspect, nothing
Yes, and now Friday, October 1st, another showing. So y'all go out there and check out the movie. And this time it's free. So there's no excuses to go check it out. Yes, so I'm excited about that. But Delana, I wish we had more time with this, so we definitely have to have you back. But share some advice or tips or something that we need to know or think about in health and wellness to keep us safe and healthy through this, and hopefully something that we will continue past the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said before, we're going into what we call the cold and flu season, as well as still having the COVID-19 looming in the background and somewhat really in the forefront. And so what I would leave you with is what we started with, and that is to just make sure that you are listening to your body. Just make sure that you are continuing to use your precautions If you are someone that is high risk or you have underlying conditions, make sure that you are taking the proper precautions when you are venturing out. Make sure that you're wearing your mask in what I call high traffic, high populated areas, washing your hands, keeping your distance. Make sure you're taking your supplements as well as any prescribed medications. And then when we think about the healthy lifestyle part of it, make sure that you are feeding yourself what I call good, nutritious food, and not the crap that I refer to, which is chemical, refined, artificial, and processed food. Instead, go for more clean, raw, organic, and whole food. Drink your water and get restful, peaceful, quality sleep. It's that easy. And then to round it up and wrap it with the bow, just move within the confines of what you're able to do.
I love it. And real quick, can you tell people about, because you have some programs, so tell them where they can find you so they can connect, because I was getting ready to, I know I didn't do it last because I was like, okay, I can do this, kind of do this on my own. But every time I'm listening to you talk, I'm motivated. So I'm like, okay, so pay attention.
Right.
If she's motivating you to do it, then you maybe need to go sign up and get that regular motivation. Right. So tell them where they can find you and possibly sign up for some of your programs.
Sure, absolutely. So right now, our programs, the next set of programs will launch after our 10-year gala and fundraiser after September the 18th. All of our energy and focus right now has really been on that. But we have the Sugarless Living program. And so you can find out more information about that. You can also become a member of the Women's Wellness Lounge VIP community, where you really get all of that. The latest program is the Minnow Squad, which is ladies that are going through menopause. We have the Minnow Squad that you can join as well. And so all of that can be found on DelenaWatkins.com. As far as the Women's Wellness Lounge, you can find out how to volunteer for our programs, donate to our cause, and or your time, talent, and treasure is what I like to call it. And you can find out more information about that at womenswellnesslounge.org.
Love it. And I didn't know about the menopause group.
Yes.
OMG.
Squad.
Yes, because that is,
that right there is something that, again, is what I'll be going more into. It's a lot that goes into that. So I had to really do a lot of research, Lisa. You know, I don't like to put things out until I really kind of have, I'm able to wrap my brain around it and really see. But let me just tell you, there's a lot that happens to us physically, emotionally, when you're experiencing menopause and perimenopause and postmenopause. So yes, look for the Minnow Squad on Facebook and just join that group. It's a free group, and I'm posting something in there every single day.
Oh, yes, I have to definitely, because it's a whole thing. So thank you again so much. Thank everybody for tuning in. For those of you all, if you get a chance to share this, you can share it anytime you want to. Please visit Lunchin with Lisa every Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm definitely going to have Cherie and Delana come back every so often if they're available. Because this is a conversation we have to just keep having, because you got to develop that habit.
Yes.
So thank you, because I'm learning some things. I know more than I did the last time y'all came here, because I will pick up the phone and call Delana in a minute and say, what is going on? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was like, okay, Lisa, you got the back phone number. You can call me on that.
But you actually taught me to not stress about it. Just chill out, relax, talk it out. So I appreciate you. So we will be back next week. And y'all don't blow up Delana with all your questions, because you're like, okay, I got another question, but we're definitely going to have you come back. So I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
We will see you again next week. So until then, happy Thursday.